Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. Welcome to my channel. So, yeah, I thought I would just go ahead and do as long as my computer doesn't crash out on me or QuickTime Player doesn't crash out on me, we should be good to go. Yeah, just a quick, here's what happened in July, now that we're in August. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a really shitty month. One of the hardest I've had in a long time. For a lot of reasons. A lot of stuff that had to do with a client that I cannot really talk about. I wish I could, because if it would feel good to kind of offload it and be able to speak about it. Suffice it to say, I learned some really deeply, profoundly unpleasant things about our health system, especially where it comes to mental health. And how mental health is dealt with in clients or patients who, are elderly, basically. And a lot of insights into how bad things are now that COVID has taken over the world, and it's completely taken over the United States, especially where I live. It's really scary. It has compromised healthcare everywhere. And it was terrifying. I had to spend an awful lot of hours on the phone, begging, borrowing, pleading, and doing basically whatever I could to try and help my client get the kind of care that he should be having. But because people can't be allowed into hospitals, that was really challenging. So, yeah, it was awful. It was awful. And it was like an ongoing crisis that lasted basically most of the month. It started the 4th of July weekend and then carried into all of the weeks after. It's kind of quieted down a little bit. I can tell my camera's glitching out a little bit. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, suffice it to say, it was a horrific nightmare all month long. And it's there was 1 week where I was supposed to be doing the Mahabharata Oracle, and I'd started the week and I put up my unboxing, and then I kind of disappeared and I wasn't on Instagram during that time period, and that was when things were the worst. And when I say they were the worst, they were really the worst. They were the worst I've ever seen doing this work, and it really was enough to make me question, do I even... I've never been someone that burns out easily on anything, and that was enough to make me wonder if end-of-life work was really worth doing in the way that I've been doing it. I think that it is, now that I've had a little bit of time and space from it, but the virus and the way that this is playing out has completely changed the way that doulas can help families. It's changed the way that families can help their own anyway, in a healthcare situation, because the transparency is not there, the communication's not there. There's a lot wrong. So I just throw that out there. It was a really hard month. So there we go. That said, there were many good things as well. I don't even know where to start. The highlight of the month of July was totally learning the Kipper. So working with Alexandre Musruck's, or I guess as an American say Alexandre Musruck. His deck is incredible. So yeah, just playing with this deck was amazing. Learning about the Kipper was amazing. Again, I started out from a place of not being sure what I thought about it. Just kind of gosh, that's really, Regency, Empire era stuff here. And yet, again, Musruck is from Reunion Island out in, just off the coast of it's between Mauritius and Madagascar. And he is not a white person. So just from his perspective, finding a way to make use of a deck like this and a system like this and to thrive with it, despite, where it came from and the traditions behind it, you know, it offers a really fascinating look at the way that we examine this stuff. And it's a gorgeous deck. You know, it's his own design. If you go to his website, and again, I'll probably put all of his info in the you know, the description box down there. He's prolific. He is a prolific creator. I'm going to be ordering a bunch of his decks, honestly, once like shipping prices and things go down. I'd love to support him more directly rather than just through a publisher. His book, the Kipper book that he wrote, is fantastic. Again, I've scratched it up. It's been annotated all over the place. You know, as I've been learning and working with his book. And again, like, I can't say enough about how stinking good he is. I mean, he is somebody who has, like, taken these systems, you know, learned them through and through, figured them out inside and out, and then practiced with them enough that what you're getting in here is, like, it's incredible. You know, it's really the work of somebody who's put their life and their career into their work, and it shows. And he's not just a practitioner. He's also, you know, he's also an artist. He's also somebody, he's looking at it from every angle, truly. And, you know, if you're learning and you've never picked it up before, you can really pick up his book, and he will have you within just like half an hour, 40 minutes of just starting and reading his book. You can play the Kipper. You can start reading the Kipper. It's not rocket science. It does require some skill. And obviously it's a skill that keeps deepening, but just to do very simple 3-card readings, it's immediate, and really good. I'm so impressed with his work, honestly. I knew about him before. I've said this, but in case you didn't see those videos, you know, it really did make me want to go back and look at his work, look at more of what he does. And I've nerded out hardcore on everything. In fact, so much so. So these were ones that that Schiffer sent for review. They're new this year. They also published his Lenormand book, which I had to have. I just had to, because it's so good. He's so brilliant. And I have to say, obviously, like, I've already dug into this one and started annotating and scribbling everywhere, and it is every bit as good. It is so comprehensive. Like, extremely comprehensive. These are my tabs for all the different sections, you know, so like he does one for meanings, one for keywords, one section of combinations, one for the playing card inserts, and then you get like another one for physical attributes, and then spreads. And then of course I've got all my spreads marked like this so that I can find them, you know, in increasing order. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving his work. So that dive into the Lenormand, and then especially because I'd never paid much attention to the playing card inserts, that changed with his book. Completely changed. And it really made me want to, I can see the camera glitching. I'm just going to see if it slows down. I hope it does. It did make me want to pull out Lenormand decks and take a closer look. So one that I'll be like sharing later. I've already done my little unboxing and walkthrough on a day when I was having a hard day, but I have the Maybe Lenormand by Ryan Edward. And I've left the non-Lenormand cards for now still in the box. So I'm really just working with the Lenormand cards. And I'm just loving it. It's a great little deck. I know he did the playing card Marseille. That one I would love to check out too, but right now, I don't know. I love that. It's so good. But literally learning from Musruck has completely changed my outlook on, you know, divination and divination styles. It's really made me nerd out. Made me nerd out hardcore. I love a good nerd, and I love a good nerd that knows their stuff, and this is a guy who has devoted that much time and energy, knows his stuff so well, and has a lot to teach. So that's been a delight. I also went ahead and, not sure how well, there we go. Robert in Place. This one I did a little unboxing of as well. This is, wonderful deck. But he's, again, got all 52. I wanted to see, like, what the overlaps were between the two decks. Very few, but more than you would expect. But this is another great way just to get, to play with playing card decks, but with the Lenormand within it. So, like, picking this one up and playing with it has been great in terms of learning the playing cards and the associations from a completely different perspective, but they don't have the Lenormand number on it. So then, like, putting those in order and remembering the number of the Lenormand card, just getting that 36 card system memorized, this helped a lot. It's starting to. I had them kind of close to being memorized at one point last fall, and then I quit working with Lenormand for a while, and I can't remember why it was, but I just kind of put it to one side for a while, and then decided to pick it back up again, and after Musruck, because he's so good. And yeah, I don't know. But this is kind of challenging me then to remember the order, if you see what I mean. So this is good for the other part of it, and just to see, like, is there a logic? What's the logic behind the system? All of that stuff. I don't know. I have a brain that needs to learn new things constantly, and that something I think I love about cartomancy is the fact that you can do that. You can constantly be learning new things, and taking in new information, cross-referencing it with information figuring out. I mean, it's a never-ending cycle of wonderfulness, which is also why I think it's great to learn to read the tarot from a number of different perspectives, learn to read different card systems from different perspectives, and so on. So there's that. In addition to that, again, I've got a walkthrough ready to go that'll come out hopefully in the next week or two, of Hanafuda Cards. And I think I spoke about these at one point, but I had taken them out sometime mid-month. These have been great too, just like in terms of like all these different divination decks, in terms of just being able to play with them in a really casual kind of way too, like while I'm waiting for phone calls from my client, and these are in order because I put them back in order. So I've been learning the Hanafuda cards while playing solitaire with them, which is so much fun. It's like playing a game of memory, especially when you don't know them yet. And they're just beautiful, and they're delightful, and you really can spread all of them out on a table very easily because they're so teensy. They're so little. And they're just beautiful. So, I would love to learn to do divination with Hanafuda, and I'm just curious about it. And honestly, I had so much joy playing and just pleasure, like playing the version of solitaire with the Hanafuda cards. If somebody's interested, by the way, in a video about how to play solitaire with Hanafuda, I would be willing to do that. Although I could also just link another creator's really good video about it, because I learned from someone else's video. So that's the Hanafuda. Again, just really, really delightful. I think that's it for that style of cards. Again, worked with the Mahabharata Oracle this month by Gita Rash. And I have a review of this that I will be putting out soon. I think it's fair to say that I've struggled with this deck. It's very accurate. As a deck, it's a very, very accurate deck. I love the connection with the Mahabharata. I think some of the key words and the ways that she's written about them work really well. I'm not sure what I think about the guidebook. I'm kind of unsure. The artwork is not my taste at all. And I've kind of had to come to terms with that. I really wanted and have wanted to like the deck or even love the deck. I certainly really like her. I really like Gita Rash quite a lot. I think a lot of her work, actually. But I'm not sure what I think about the deck itself. You know, it's 36 cards, which tells me that she's accustomed to working with systems that use 36 cards, which is kind of cool. And I get where she's coming from. Again, it's a very accurate deck. Very, very spot on, very accurate for all of my personal readings. So even when I wasn't posting about it in that difficult week, I was still working with it and using it. And I was amazed oftentimes at like how accurate the cards were. I just wasn't, it's not, I don't know. I'm not really sold one way or the other. It's not a deck where I feel like, yeah, I really have to work with this deck, but it's also not a deck where I'm like, meh, I don't think I really ever want to work with it again. I'm still kind of on the fence and figuring out how to review it fairly. But that's kind of where I am with it now. I guess that's kind of fair, being, straight up about this is what I liked, this is what I struggled with, and there we go. I think we're getting close to the end here. I did also start working with Numerology and the Divine Triangle, which is a book that I ran into last year from another local tarot reader here in St. Louis who is fabulous. She's one of the St. Louis card slingers, very, very talented reader, and her copy of this one is like, it's annotated left, right, and center. The spine's broken. It's falling apart. She's read it through and through, and virtually, it's like a Bible for her. And I did go ahead and start, I have not done like a proper reanalysis of my own numerology for a long time, so I played with that. Looked into it. I haven't gotten very far with it. I mean, you can see how far I've gotten because of where I quit annotating. So I haven't gotten all that far with it, but suffice it to say, that's the extent that I've gotten to with it. And I'm going to continue working with it and reading about it. I mean, it looks, I'll do a full review once I've actually really read the book all the way, and talk about that. So I'll put that out there once I'm done. And once that has been done. And then finally, I'm putting it out because I just picked it up literally on the last day of this month. So I really have not worked with any tarot this month. None. It's all been Oracle cards, Kipper, and Lenormand all month. Oh, and Hanafuda. So just like other divination methods. I kind of just gave tarot a break for a month. It didn't feel like a bad thing. It kind of felt like the right thing to do this month. I just needed some space from it. I get like that sometimes. Obviously I used it for readings and with clients and so forth because that's different. But in terms of my own practice and where I spent most of my time, I played with Kipper. I played with Kipper cards. I played with playing cards. I played with Oracle cards. I played with Lenormand cards. And I played with Hanafuda cards. So that's where most of my work went. And honestly, I should say too, I spent a fair bit of time coming back to my Crones Bones. So there are 3 Crones Bones. And I love these. I absolutely love them. I rub them with lots of beautiful smelling oils and they smell so good. And I keep them with this lovely rock, which feels perfect to me in every way because it's also a hagstone as well as a geode. And I don't think we'll be able to see it right now. Maybe we will. Right at the back of it, there is like a little, there it is. You can see the light all the way at the back. So there's a hole that goes straight through to the very back of the little cave here. And I think it's probably calcite on the inside of this one. It's just gorgeous. But yeah, so I've kept my Crones Bones sitting on my desk with me. I've needed them a lot for myself over the last month just to ask questions and get some guidance here and there where I really just needed yes and no answers, honestly, in order to know how to move forward with something. And that was extremely useful and helpful. But when I did pick up tarot cards again, literally on the 31st of the month of July, I picked up the Shadowland Tarot, which again is another Schiffer deck. I kind of feel like it's right to have this relationship with Schiffer because I love so many of their decks, and I've spent so much time, you know, promoting and working with the Marielle so publicly that it actually feels really good to have that relationship with them. I would say of all of the different commercial deck producers, I probably own more Schiffer decks than any other kinds of decks, so it feels right. And I did welcome them. So here we have a little Shadowland. I did welcome them to send me, you know, whatever decks that I'm interested in, as well as decks that they're interested in having promoted. And so that's what I've got is a nice combination, as well as books. They've also sent me some books. They did not send me this one. This one is a Schiffer publishing. I don't think it's just Schiffer. It's not even, it's a different imprint because it's so old. But the version that I have anyway. But it's, anyway, yeah. I have a lot of their work. I realize how much I appreciate their work, their taste, the decks they produce. Yeah. But this is one that they sent me where I kind of it wasn't one that I expressed an interest in, but it was one that they wanted to have promoted. I could not have been happier with it. I think it might be one of the favorite things I've opened yet. I say that, but I don't think I've opened anything I haven't loved. But this was such a delightful surprise because it was one that was unexpected. So, yeah, I'm going to be working with the Shadowland Tarot this coming week. It was a nice, and it smells good too. Oh, the smell of a nicely published tarot deck. Printed deck. I think that's about it. Oh, there was one more thing. So something I thought I would come clean about. So I know I've said this in past, that I'm not a witch and I don't identify as a witch. I don't identify as a pagan, etc. Something I've really realized over the last year is that despite saying that, the truth of the matter is that I probably spend more time talking with and hanging with witchy folks than I do with Buddhists, which is hilarious to me. So the witches have kind of become more my Sangha than the Buddhists are right at the moment, which I don't have a problem with. It doesn't, that doesn't really upset me at all, but I think it's kind of funny. I do still hang with the Buddhists and so on, and obviously still, my whole doodah back there is totally Buddhist. But it's just, I don't know, it's funny. We're funny, aren't we, people? But yeah, in the midst of all of that, I developed a really sincere interest in understanding more about what witchcraft is, etc. And I can't remember how this happened. I think it came up as a recommendation or something at some point, but Benebell Wen's Witchcraft, Fundamentals of Witchcraft class videos were recommended to me by YouTube at some point. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. What the hell? What is that? What's going on? But it's Benebell, and I mean, her work is so good. I had to just look. I just had to listen and look. And long story short, I'm doing the class. I'm doing the fundamentals class. And I've come to recognize, whether I realized it or not, the minute that I shifted to esoteric Buddhism, I'm basically witch. Based on the way she's defining it, based on the way that Levy is defining it, Elvis Levy and so on. And I really listened to the intro videos and the first two really carefully because I thought, is this something I really want to mess with? Only to find, of course, and you guys all are probably going to have a good laugh at my expense, and I'd say, hey, good for you, because you should. I'm not a witch, this is not what I do, Jennifer Ball, yeah, you know what, I'm eating my hat. I'm eating my witch's hat right now, because the truth of the matter is that, yeah, based on the way that Levy defines it, I've already been playing witchcraft for a couple of years now and didn't realize it. And have been setting that up for myself really the minute that I converted so deeply into, or at least ritual magic, right? If we say that a witch is someone who practices ritual magic, you know, based on these fundamentals, you know, yeah, we're going to say then too that someone who practices esoteric Tibetan Buddhism is also practicing witchcraft, ultimately. And then I found myself in Walmart yesterday buying a shit ton of candles and rum, right? For offer, candle offers, offerings on my altar space. And I thought, yeah, no, I mean, who do I think I'm fooling? Really? Not that that's a problem, just that realistically, I have a great respect for people that regard themselves as witches. So I would never have come out and said, oh yeah, sure, I'm a witch, without really examining what that means because of respect for the people practicing it. I don't think I still identify necessarily as a witch, so much as just someone trying really hard to be a good Buddhist. But yeah, I'm putting a lot of pieces are falling into place with regards to what I practice and how that fits within the structure of this. And it's really shifting my whole perspective on that and on how I view it and how I work with it. She does say that, like, if you start with this course and this book, and with the fundamentals that Levi chooses and lays out, that probably what you're looking at is laying the foundation to practice any form of ritual magic from any tradition. And I absolutely, within the first chapter of the book, could see where those overlap in terms of of Tibetan Buddhism, and especially of Bon in Tibetan Buddhism. And obviously it is all over tarot. I mean, I knew that anyway. I already knew that. I mean, that's like a no shit Sherlock kind of thing. But I don't think I realized the extent to which, ritual magic was associated with witchcraft. I don't know. I think I had a very limited understanding or idea of what that encompasses and who calls themselves a witch and who doesn't. And that's really expanded to include a lot of different cultures and traditions. Because I think in my head, it really was limited to people who are practicing some form of like white paganism. There's that wonderful article that came out recently that really kind of exposed Llewellyn and threw them under the bus for their participation in witchcraft as being predominantly a white Eurocentric, Wicca-centric, tradition. And upon reading that and going back and reading more of Zora Neale Hurston's work and I don't know, just learning more about various different non-white traditions, and then that brought me eventually back to one of Benebell's posts about the conflict that arose with her and Karen from Baba Studios, which then led me back to her deck and her work, and here we are. So that was also another aspect of that journey. Yeah. In terms of social activism, because I feel like, and I'm sitting here wearing my Black Lives Matter shirt with my Becky hair, which has gotten so long that I feel like the girl from The Ring at this point, because we're not even going to go there. I just feel weird about going to get my, it gets caught in everything. I'm getting my hair cut right now because I'm working with older people and older families and a lot of vulnerable people. And so going to do those things right now does not feel rational or fair. And I just feel like I need to be careful about that. But suffice it to say, a lot of the activism that I've been engaging in, I've shifted drastically away from specifically targeting publishers and kind of, we need to change this right now. And I've moved more towards building a longer standing an intention towards a longer standing relationship with those publishers so that we can open dialogue and hopefully carry that out and continue it. And in the meantime, if you look at my Instagram, I've really focused much more on the cause for finding justice for Matthew Rushin, as well as getting justice for Breonna Taylor. You know, those feel really urgent. You know, when I look at someone like Matthew Rushin, I really see one of my students, and that is heartbreaking to me. Because I see a young man who has so much potential and so much possibility in the world, who is incarcerated in a way that's completely inappropriate and unfair. The government in Virginia has all of his information. They could go in and they could release him and let him out. It's possible. The pardon is prepared. Everything's ready. They have not done that. So writing emails every day has been, you know, a great way of using my former title, which I suppose I need to, I've been thinking for a long time I need to rethink, but actually in this situation it's felt like it's been very appropriate and in a sickening kind of way come in very handy, you know, to write to someone as an activist and have your signature and your email address be the Reverend Zhang Yu. You know, that changes the way that you engage. And it made me stop and go, wait a second, you became the Reverend Zhang Yu Charama because of Thich Nhat Hanh and because of the way that Thich Nhat Hanh worked with Martin Luther King Jr. You know, that was a big part of what drew me into Buddhism in the first place, was understanding and learning about that connection. And specifically drew me back to Zen. I think I had started with Tibetan Buddhism and then ultimately shifted towards Zen because of Thich Nhat Hanh and his association with MLK. And so that changed the way that I engage with that particular situation very deeply. Similarly, again, writing as the Reverend Zhang Yu Charama, when I write to you know, lawmakers in Kentucky, it has changed that perspective significantly. I don't know, you know, I don't know what the long-term outcome will be, but, you know, there are many petitions. I'm going to put all the links here in the box below. If it's something that you can offer time to, if it's something that you can spend some time doing, to write an email, to write a letter, to make phone calls, I think it's time well spent. You know, these are people who really, really deserve our help. And where, you know, the activism is something, you know, on a larger scale that needs to happen over time. Right now, there are very urgent needs that need addressing. So if what we want is to create longer term change, you know, making a difference in the lives of the people who are really immediately affected right now, is a very good use of time and energy. So if there's any way that time and energy could be focused towards those individuals like right now, I feel like that's something that's really urgent. So their information will be, you know, in the description box. And other than that, you know, that's the month of July, folks. That's the month of July, and I think we'll just have to see what August brings. It'll be fascinating. It'll be fascinating. So hang in there. I think we're all just trying to hang in there. It's really hard right now. I think everyone's feeling the fatigue. Everyone's feeling the exhaustion. There are a lot of issues to bring to the fore. A lot. So, yeah. I send all of you tremendous love and tremendous appreciation that's deeply heartfelt. Thank you. I know there are a lot of you who really are very supportive and very kind. And, you know, your kindness and your love is something that the world needs right now. It really does. So whatever we need to do to hang in there, we need to do that. This is the time. It's now. Okay. See you next time.